my mic closer. I don't think that's going to help. Has anybody been carving, or are you just waiting for me again?
Just waiting.
And that's fine. Denise, have you been carving?
No, because I'm doing it in my kitchen with it being winter and I haven't got my studio yet. So that's my excuse. It's quite a good excuse. I mean, nature journaling.
Good. That's fantastic. I have another lead from another organization that wants to do nature journaling, and I've asked them to do it free. So we may pop up and start over again with my thoughts a little bit more arranged than they were the first time. They weren't bad the first time. I just been through it once. In hindsight's 2020.
Oh, yes, it is.
All
Yes, it
right.
is.
So yeah, I'm gonna. If I don't learn from what I did, what's the point? Okay, so I'm going to switch. I think I am. Well, oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. So we're down here now, and I want to talk to you about the CA glue. I hope you all have CA glue and accelerator. If you don't, I'm going to show you how wonderful it is. So this is the brand I usually buy. I get this at a woodworking store. I hate the price. I mean, it's $12 for this little tube, and it won't last. The problem that I have with CA glue is that it is so good that it ruins the container it's in before you ever get finished. To be really, really careful with it. Make sure that you get the lid, the back on. Don't let a lot of glue accumulate on the lid. That's my big problem. And then I bought this because it's the same brand, and I was at a store that had the same brand. I don't think it matters. But this is the accelerator, and this makes CA glue set absolutely instantly. And so the thing here is don't get it on your fingers. Well, this was $12. This was not a cheap investment. I keep it in stock and I don't pay attention to the price. I should. But it's not only good for turning heads, but it's good for repairing things. So I've got this same blank we were working on last week. I went the wrong way. I want to try it there to ruin it. So I'm going to, there we go, big chip. That big chip came off. Isn't that terrible? So I'm going to pretend I want that chip back on. And it goes right there. And if you look, it fits nicely. So put that on there again. It fits real nicely. It's nice and snug and tight. But it's gone. It's torn off. And this could be a beak. It could be a tail. It could be a giant piece. So easy to fix. So I'm going to take the CA glue. And again, I don't want to get on my fingers, so I'm being really careful up towards my fingers and tipping away. This is medium. They make a thin, and I don't like to use it because I always get it on my fingers. And if you glue your fingers together, you can rock them apart like that, and they will come apart. You don't have to run to the hospital. But it feels awful. If it wicks up under your nails, that's the worst feeling. So I've got the glue on the chip, and I chose that because it's a smaller surface. And I'm going to spray the accelerant where it's going to go. I'm just going to flip this up here, press it in place. I hear it sizzle and pop. I saw a little bit of smoke, and I have a little under my fingernail.
Nice.
And see, it's crystallized here. You can see it's turned white. And this is back to being one piece of wood.
Wow.
Wow.
It'll work across grain. Most glues don't. But if I were to, I should have done this as a demo. What we're going to do with the head, it's the same thing. I have completely malformed beaks, just totally trashed them. And I think this earlier one would be a good example since he has no beak. And you could take that, sand it flat, put a scrap on there the same way, let it set, and 5 minutes later, you've got a new piece of wood there to carve as a beak. And you don't see it. Head joints, you see a little bit. If you look carefully, you can see a little bit of a ripple through here. I can see the line right across the chin. There's a line there, but I don't let that bother me. It's just part of the process for me, part of I guess it's become my style. I've ignored it, sold enough birds, that's the way it is, right?
Jeff, you're distorting slightly your voice.
Okay, I don't know what to do.
Oh, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe the microphone's a bit close, but
Yeah, it might be. I'm moving it back.
yeah,
Is that better?
that's better for me. I don't know whether the others are hearing the same.
Okay. Well, it's a really hot mic. I shouldn't have had it right up under my chin.
Yeah, that is better. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to show you how to do this on your head. So one thing you want to do is decide how you want it to face before you start. And as cool as putting a backward head on, and it is, that's not what you want to do the first time, because you have some real turns in the grain that'll be hard to deal with. So you can turn it, to the left or the right. You don't want it straight ahead, or there was no point in doing this, right? So, and the other thing, just kind of pretend that you're turning around the center. If you were to draw an X, and you've got a center here, and drawing an X, and there's a center here, and I certainly could lay that out better, but you know what I'm saying. Kind of visualize that you're turning through that center. So you don't have a head that's way up on the corner or something. You want to kind of hold it in the center and see where you want it to be. And you can, and I'm going to do this on this just to show you, I'm going to take a pencil down both sides. So there's a pencil line on that side and down that side. I slipped, so I'm going to draw it again. And then I want to make a tick mark so I can align in there. So I'm going to make a line down the cheek and across the shoulder there. And that way I know I can get it right back where I planned to have it.
Oh.
So I went down this side, and made a tick mark down the cheek. I don't do that in practice anymore, but I certainly did the first several that I did. Now I put it on there and just there. I'm looking to see, sometimes, see, I get in a rut too, and I don't know it. So these two have their heads turned almost identically, which I wouldn't have done on purpose. I have a third one, so I'll turn it the other way. So I'm going to take this glue, and what this glue cures with moisture. It likes water, unlike most glues. It was originally designed to do battlefield stitches, is to replace stitches in the battlefield. Dump super glue in a wound, and you could get it shut until somebody got help. So it doesn't mind moisture at all. And I'm just going to apply it on here. I'm being super careful because I don't want it on my fingers. I want to show you how to do it better than I do. It's pretty well flooded. And then I'm going to take the spray, and sometimes they're little pump sprays. This is an aerosol. I think I prefer the pump, but beggars can't be choosers. And I'm going to spray that, and then I'm going to line up all those lines. I got that line, the line left and right. Sorry, the line left and right, and then on the cheek lined up. I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to hold it in place. And if you want a little extra insurance, you can spray it again. It's fair. I don't know if it's completely non-toxic, but it's fairly non-toxic. It doesn't hurt you. Notice I didn't answer like a doctor. Because I'm not. And that head's on there forever. If I were to break that off, grab it with pliers and twist it off, it would not break at the glue joint. The glue is stronger than the wood. And to glue an end grain to a cross grain or two end grains together is nearly impossible, but this glue will do it. Now it's super, it has no strength laterally. So if you were to hit this with a hammer, it would pop right off. But if you were to try to twist it off or snap it off, it wouldn't. It's really, really strong. So
Yeah,
if you
is the grain going down the body instead of all the way along the
this
tail?
grain is still going this way, but up here it's going this way, which is going to cause you some problems in carving right here. But we're going to talk about that. But you also have the beak, the grain with the beak, so that makes the beak stronger and easier to carve.
Yeah.
And that's one reason I do that. I do that for that reason, and because I like their heads cocked. It twists the body. It makes them more realistic, though I'm not really going for realism. I mean, this is purely symbolism, but you get some interest. You get some really pretty, graceful curves in there. So if you're going to glue your head now, go ahead and do that. And let me know when you're finished, and I will show you how to carve up into that.
You got it. No, I saw it in there.
I know, but it looks like
That's fine.
I see a glue without the accelerant, and it works, but it's not nearly as consistent and predictable.
oh, that's nice.
Smells like marshmallows.
Hearing all the right sounds.
That's not bad.
Man, that experiment stinks.
Oh. Thank you. Duster.
Yeah, that's how I thought it would smell too.
Set that cover.
Are the heads sticking?
Yeah.
Good. It's like a miracle, isn't it?
It is.
Stinky.
Stinky miracle.
Yeah, don't get your face really close. It does-
Ooh.
Late.
Yeah, too late.
I'm sorry. They use it in forensics too to to lock fingerprints and things.
Oh.
Mm.
I used to watch, like, I think it was CSI Miami a million years ago. Not something I'd watch now, but they'd put objects in a fish aquarium and put CA glue in with accelerator and fingerprints would rise out of them.
Yeah, my husband is an investigator, and he worked for the Public Defender's Office of New Orleans, and he had to go pick up fingerprints from a guy who did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he saw the whole process. He said it was very fascinating.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, it would be. Well, now you can do it at home.
I'll tell him.
Somehow I'm glued to my carpet. That's not good. Are we ready to go on, or are we still going?
We're good. We're good here.
I'm
Chicago's.
good.
I got this on the stand while you're doing that.
Oh, that's.
Yeah,
I like that stand.
really pleased with that. Yeah, I did 2 of these crystals. We'll see. If people like them, I'll do 1 million. No, I shouldn't say that. That's how I got 55 Dalmatian. All right, so this is the bird I'm working on for me. I'll put that aside. This is the one like you're doing, which is also a goldfinch. Now you'll notice we've got these hideous overhangs everywhere.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at the side of the head and I'm just marking like we did before. So right there on that shoulder and this shoulder, yours will be different. But you've got, and I've got an overhang back here. And then if you turn it over, you got on the back of the head, you've got a few too, right?
Yep.
They're smaller, but you should have 2 or 3 there. Okay. So what you need to do before we ever mark, still glue, I drip glue on the floor, I'm still sticking. Before we ever mark the lines that we do like this, we've got to form the body to the head. Okay. So I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to just start on the shoulder and I'm working off, I'm going back, I don't know, about halfway through the body. And I'm going to work that down right up to that cheek. So I'm going to take off some big chips. Until I'm right up with the head where I am there. Then I'm going to go to the other side, same thing. I want to make that triangle disappear. I'm going to go back about halfway, and we're just going to peel off chips in a pretty much a straight line until I'm right up against the body, and there I am there. A little bit more in the back. I'm going to do that little chip there. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the same thing with the head. Now the head, you've got to be really aware, and Denise was talking about this, the grain goes front to back. Every head you've ever carved, it goes the long way. So it should feel the same way up around the beak, but the back of the head, carving down like this might be hard. You can try it, and my knives are sharp enough to work to do it. If that doesn't work, you want to come diagonally because you want to work always with that grain. So mine was sharp enough I could do it. I'm shaving. So when I'm going across the grain like that, I'm not just trying to jam the knife through it. I'm shearing. I'm coming across at the same time. And I want to get all those overhangs gone all the way around. Under the beak's kind of hard. Get up on the tip of your knife so you can turn fast. So now it looks really weird now, but that shoulder's gone there. It's gone back here. This one's gone. Everything is flush with the blank now. So I want you to go ahead and do that. Feel free to ask questions. This is entirely new to you. In fact, it would probably be fairly new to most carvers. I'm not sure it's orthodox at all. It's definitely trial and error. With plenty of error.
Ladies, I've got to ask you, do your wood chips come off as quickly as Jeff's? Because I'm feeling like a complete weed here. I'm taking off a tiny bit because the wood won't just, either I'm not strong enough or the wood's harder.
No, I have little teeny tiny little chips coming off.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
And
Sorry,
that's-
no, I mean, really like that. But
That's very typical. That just comes with confidence. That's not, and you don't want to sit and watch me take tiny chips off.
I think
Well,
you
yes.
underestimate, Jeff, how much stronger your hands and fingers probably are
Yeah.
than ours.
I get
Yeah.
that when I teach a lot. And when I do leather classes, nobody can seem to punch leather, and I don't have any hard problem with that. So you're right. I'm glad I'm strong somewhere, because that's certainly not been me through life. I was not the guy people point at, oh, he looks strong. And there's no hurry. We've got the whole time. And once we get the head figured out, the rest you know how to do. It's not any different.
Such a weird angle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Should put more thought into how to put this in here.
Last time I taught this class in my studio, somebody had their head before they glued it on and put it down next to the vacuum intake on my sander.
Oh,
It went on a little trip. We got it back.
Let me see yours. Oh, I did mine differently.
So once you get those notches out, we'll talk about where to go from there. Are we getting there?
Yep.
Okay. No rushing, just checking in. I feel like I don't do enough sometimes in this class.
spring bird. I'm gonna have a fall bird
How come?
because yours looks thinner.
Oh. Maybe. Oh, maybe something.
We have
It looks very pert, Heather.
yeah.
Oh,
Or is it a she? Is it he or she?
Oh, it's actually that's Katie's bird. Is it a he or she?
I have no idea.
I never know till I paint them. Oh, that's fantastic.
Just waiting.
See, nice job, Katie.
Thank you for putting it where we could see it.
Looks like a cardinal.
Mhm. I think it's the positioning. damn flies come from right now?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't get that one.
My bird's looking at your bird. I think there's a bit of attraction going on there.
Making friends.
That's it.
Friends across the world.
That's it. You should be upside down, really, because we're down under, aren't we?
Yes, you are.
Actually, we're the right way up. It's all you guys who are down under.
That is true.
Yes.
A matter of perspective.
Who knows?
So are we ready to move forward?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so I have here a bird that probably looks a little like yours. I've got these it's just, I haven't touched it since I showed it to you last, but I've got all these corners are carved up into the, so that they match. So there's no shelf anymore. Now you're going to take this block, and as odd as it looks, you're going to mark it just like you always had. So going over all the bumps and ridges, you're going to lock your finger and make those marks. In this case, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch, a little over 1/4 of an inch. Just those carving marks, those marks that you use to round the bodies off. You're going to draw them as if this bird was perfectly flat, like the ones you did before. And on top, and I also like you to draw a center line down the head, down the back of the head. It's going to kind of S around, and then down the middle of the back to the tail. So I've got a center line across the beak, the top of the head, kind of makes an S across the head to hit the center line of the back. And then up on the head, you can do the same thing. You don't want it to be nearly as big. I'm probably at about 1/4 inch doing the same thing. This is what we've always done. It's just different because the head's a different part now. We haven't really worked much on the head shape, but we'll do that after we get the body kind of in place. I'm going to put a center line on the tail, on the sides, and down the middle. Center line in the middle, and then splitting the sides. And then we're going to carve just like we always have. You're going to take all those corners off to make the body round. And since you've already made sure that they blend, the head blends to the body, you should have no problem making the entire body in the round blend into the head. By establishing that early, you've ensured that those lines are going to work. I hope. That was the plan.
Yeah.
It's hard to get up under the chin on this with these knives. Mine are a little big. I have to get way up on the tip. Actually, I went and got a cheater. I got my bird carving knife. So this knife is for getting up under, like under the bill and lifting wings. It's a tiny, tiny, compared to my regular blade. This is my big bird blade. Well, this is my big bird. This is more of a decoy knife, but I like to use it for roughing out. But this one comes in handy every once in a while. I don't use it a lot, but I went and grabbed it to get up under the bill for those. But you can do the same thing by holding it way, this one way up at the tip, just using that very tip. Don't forget to hone your knives. Keep them sharp. I'm going to show you what I do up under the tail because this is a cut I've not talked to you about. So I want to just worry about the back, the anterior of the body. I'm on the belly side. And I just want to carve this from here to here. And I don't want to get into the tail yet. I want to save that for later. So you can do a stop cut. And there are two ways to do it. I'll try to show you both. One way is to take your knife, just make a vertical cut where you want that to stop. And then you can carve into that and it will stop your knife there. When your knife gets to it, it just goes pop, it just pops up against it. And then I can just focus on this without worrying about the tail yet. I'm going to go over here and show you another way to do it is you can just keep peeling layers. I'm not popping them off. I'm just keeping the layers all there, coming up to where I want that stop to be. Then I can come to the top and cut straight down and pop those off. Which is generally what I do. I don't usually do the stop cut for you. Once the body's done, you can come over around the top of the head, just like we've done in the past. Fortunately, my tail usually ends up having to be carved from the end towards the body instead of from the body out. Makes it awkward, but it's you're gonna have control that way. So there mine is 8-sided. And then when you're done with that, you go to 16, you know the rest, and round it and sand it. Sandpaper, the sound of progress.
Don't talk about this part.
Katie gift.
The little granny.
Because you know, in high school, she was black hair, Kelly, yellow, and red hair.
Black, red, yellow.
Yeah. And I kept putting it on something. I don't know if they were
Put
cooking.
a picket fence and that needs to be.
So I have some areas under the chin. Oops.
Its head's just. Yeah.
If you have an area that's under the chin or some other tight spot, I just wrapped a marker. You can use a pencil, you can use a marker, piece of pipe, whatever you got laying around. And then you get up under the chin, under the bill with some sandpaper. You get that shaped quickly. Keep moving though. If you stay in one place, it starts looking like you sanded it with it wrapped around a marker. It's a little too perfect.
She lives that Covenant home.
I saw
Covenant.
I saw that. She's in a video or something, right? It's Marilyn Poor. She's so funny.
She went back.
Yeah, she was returned after we were done with her.
Well, if she was anywhere, that's where she would be.
Yeah, but I figured. I'm just trying to, because she's older than mom and dad, right?
No.
Who are her kids?
Did she have kids?
I don't know.
I don't think she did. She was the RA at Olsen House, I think.
Oh, was she?
I think her name was Marilyn.
That was Marilyn, somebody else.
Oh, it wasn't Marilyn Ford.
No, Marilyn Cole.
Oh,
Like Jane Clem.
oh,
But Jane's still alive.
yeah.
All right. Are we supposed to be working on that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
No, I guess we're done. We can play on a tree together.
And the friends. And the beluga bird.
You have to find something. Oh, you were at one. Hmm.
I want to use the last one. Yeah, like that. That's what she use.
Amy. How those simple toys. I'm sure
Yes.
she's just a
Jigsaw. Just learn how to use the pins.
bandsaw.
It's not bad.
I asked you, do they have a bandsaw? And I said, no.
Yeah, we do.
I know how to use it.
Oh.
It's been since 1983. But I used it in wood shop.
I was thinking about putting, maybe this fall, putting something in the North Park Neighbors thing and saying, I have a circular saw I don't know how to use. I'd like to learn how to use it on the bandsaw. So if somebody's handy with power tools, can I pay you to come teach me how to use it? We have them.
We have to clean up the basement. That's right. Mom has it.
For her bird, for her.
Her carvings. She never made mine. I don't even know where my thing is.
She loves the two that we painted for her. Remember when we did that?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about it, and I barely remember doing it, but we put our initials in. And I do think we went to the hobby shop and bought the
Oh,
together.
Dad's got a lot of kids.
I know.
Or he
You know what?
went to the hospital. He was just saying, you know, some of the stuff's really,
Yeah.
be careful.
Mhm.
Maybe I want to build. Maybe
Yeah.
I want to build them.
All of there's so many. Wait, what?
The head.
No, I'm just
So
fiddling. To make a smoother transition.
but how are we doing this beak?
Everybody doing okay?
Yep.
All right. If you're not, let me know. I'm not earning my nickel right now.
It's amazing how much more alive they look with just that little
Isn't it?
twist of the head.
And you can still keep them folky and symbolic. You're not really changing that.
Yeah.
It gives them so much more expression.
I think I was too.
Kayla has a studio working up there. I wonder if there's a art studio up at Covenant Village.
Yeah.
What was her daughter's name?
I should remember.
Mhm.
Freshman year at North Park, in a class with her, and she told me that she always thought Dad was a very attractive man.
No.
I was like,
Was she married at the time she was teaching?
yeah,
I don't remember her husband at all.
she was remarried.
No, but I don't remember her.
He wasn't around much. I think they were getting a divorce.
Oh,
And then when the divorce was final, he took their son. She had a lot of trouble with him.
I vaguely remember her son.
Yeah,
Holly.
Holly. Yeah. She had a lot. It was. He had a lot of issues.
Was he older or younger?
Older than Holly.
Yeah.
I never babysat for him. I only ever babysat for Holly.
I think I remember her being a nice kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to know. Next Monday, that Puerto Rican restaurant's doing the thing again.
Oh, okay.
I would really like to do it. Try their boat.
Yeah, what?
They have that. They take the plantain boat
Mm-hmm.
and they fill it with
Like a giant. It's like a giant toastone,
kind of. Well, I mean, it looks like the.
fried and full of garlic.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, they are turning out cute.
These are going to be some really cute birds.
Good.
So excited.
I really like him.
Hmm.
Love that color.
How long does it take you to carve a bird?
About 20 minutes.
Oh,
My wife does not like me answering that question.
about 20 days.
I'm so excited. It takes me about 2 hours to.
All right, it did me too in the beginning. It took me forever. And this isn't birds, but I remember the first time I carved a ukulele neck, it took me 2 days. And it's less than an hour now. So
Oh,
it
wow.
comes with practice.
Yes, it is practice.
I've probably done 500 birds. I quit counting it, the mid 300.
Wow.
And you just sell them off, the little guys?
Yep. And they sell well. I don't know why I quit making them. Yeah, I did, because I was interested in other things. I got interested in pull toys and carving fish and doing sign painting.
Oh, fish. I like that idea.
Fish are fun. We could do a class on fish. It's no
I would
different.
love that.
I'd take that.
Okay. we'll do
Also,
that.
also a whale class. You mentioned doing whales.
Yeah, I do want to do that too.
I would love that too.
You have fans in Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have fans in Chicago and New Zealand. And Ferguson. This is the class with no one local. Need to all come visit at one time sometime.
Oh, that would be cool.
Do a retreat.
Yeah.
And you're near Indianapolis?
Yeah. 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Oh, that's not far.
Nope. It's far for Denise.
Yeah.
It is.
We'll all go to her house. She has a big shed.
Oh, that's a good idea. See, if I come to you, I might not even be able to get back into New Zealand, but if you came to us, I might be able to get back into the US.
Well, New Zealand's not going to let us in.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Listen.
you can, as long as you're willing to stop for 2 weeks first and have a nice little stop in a hotel. I don't think they've actually opened borders yet. So.
I'm not sure I can even get in New England right now. The sanding slows me down. I really like carving them. Then I get to the sanding stage and I start carving another one because I don't want to sand.
Oh.
That's why I stick with the tooled effect, Jeff. That's part of it. I like the tooled effect, but also the thought of sanding for as much time as you've carved really drives me crazy.
Right.
I really like the look of them.
Yeah.
Cuts.
I sand a little bit, but just to smooth things out where they're a little rough, but it's a mixture of both
Sure.
in the end.
You find your place,
Yeah.
your look. And I told you the first when I started, I thought sanding was taking forever, and I timed it once. It was like 20, 25 minutes, which
Not forever.
wasn't forever. No. I got sand on all those dogs. It's stacked. They're 2 inches thick. They're stacked 8 feet high.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I mean, I knew what the numbers look like on paper, but I didn't know what they'd look like in person. Though it'll be fun to have them all done and go get a picture like somewhere.
Oh,
Set up
yeah.
a park or something. I could fill my shop window, but it'll be like just throwing them in a giant pile to the roof.
I just need
You see, what you should do is an in-workshop class about how to sand Dalmatians and get your trainees.
Well, I was going to buy, I have to cut out all those ears and tails. And the tails aren't so bad. And I could do them in my guillotine, my paper cutter if I needed to. But I was worried about the ears, and I was going to buy a die cut machine and stamp them out. And it was going to be $300. And I talked to my wife about it. She says, well, I'll cut them all out for $100. Sold.
and warm it up. Not bad. What sort of profile do you aim for on the tail, Jeff, on this particular?
Okay, well, here, let me show you what I'm doing. Where's my one like yours? So I drew a line right down the middle of the side. And then I drew a line down the middle of the back, and I connected that with a straight line. So I've got a straight line from the peak of the tail out to that edge. And then on the back, it looks like I've done that, but I haven't because I don't want to take that much wood off because it'll weaken the tail. So I've just beveled the edges. So it's still, all the material's there in the middle. And but I've beveled the edges in about a 1/4 inch right to that line. So that'll give you this in the end. So this has got a full thickness in the middle, but it bevels out to that fine line there. And it's
All right. Awesome.
got it kind of curved on the bottom and flat on the top. And then when I cut the V, I want the edge of that to look thin too. So I thinned the edge, but I left it full thickness back just a little. Things like tails that are delicate, you don't want to take all the material off. You know that, you carve things.
Yeah, it's sort of sleight of hand and artistic license and all that sort of malarkey. Optical delusion.
Yep. I do that when even if I build shelves, I'll take a bit and knock half the thickness off the foredge to make it look thinner. looking for examples in here, but there aren't any. I don't do fine work in my shop. I'm just putting a coat of shellac on these to seal them. Talked about that the other day. It dries super fast. And the paint stays on the surface instead of getting sucked up.
Are these other little birdies having their heads turned?
When I'm drawing?
Mm.
Make some more movie. I need a break.
Everybody's doing okay, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. Just checking in. The longest teaching gig I've ever had, and that's okay. Not complaining. And putzing at lots of little projects of my own. Wish I knew how to make your picture bigger.
This is a old toter fence post,
Okay.
common lichen, and actually I've carved it
Oh,
with an old man of the woods, but I thought this would make quite a good, another piece like this.
yes, absolutely.
Once I've got legs for him, he's a bit legless at the moment.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is. It's a perfect mount.
It's the archetypal method that they used for, you know, edging paddocks to keep animals in.
Uh-huh.
With toter fence posts with wire and then battens every so often. So a batten's a smaller version of this. So you'd have a post, you know, every so many feet, and then battens in between to hold the wires apart, stop them going all saggy. And thankfully, people have realised that these have got character, and they've kept quite a lot of them because they don't use these so much now.
Sure.
It's a wood that's, although it's a, you know, a conifer type, it withstands being in the ground very well.
And what kind of wood did you say that was?
Totara, Totara.
Okay.
They grow into one of these giant trees, not quite as big as the kauri, but the old forest was massive,
Sure.
massive creatures.
We have a lot of old cedar and locust fence posts around here.
Yeah. I managed to find some down at architectural salvage yard, and another lot I found at kind of a homesteaders auction, and then somebody gave me a whole load. So I've got quite a nice little stash. It'll keep me going for a bit.
Nice. Well, it's beautiful. People keep giving me old cedar fence posts, but they're all rotten in the middle and full of nails.
What I'm also finding interesting is when we started, I found the push cut where you push with your thumb through the weed cut. But now my hands learned how to pull with my fingers down as at the same time as my thumb pushes up. And I've not consciously done that. It's just, you know, your brain sort of goes, oh, we need to get some more traction in this. Let's go on.
Right.
And so on this third session, it's going so much better. I've managed to do a whole bird. Last time I only did half a bird.
That's true. And what good is half a bird? It hangs on the wall really well.
That's true.
I've done some half fish. I don't think I've ever done the backside of a fish. Yes, I have. Fish go on plaques a lot. Well, it's time to wind it up, folks. Is there anything else I need to tell you or share with you?
Just that I've really enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, I've enjoyed it too. In spite of my complaining about being bored, I'm not really. Well, if anybody would like some blanks, again, email me or whatever and let me know, and we'll get those out in the mail. It won't take long. I'm certainly set up for carving right now. I don't really have anything else to add. I'll be back. I'm really interested in doing a rail class. That might even be one session. Fish classes would be interesting to do too.
Yes.
I do a really pretty trout. You have to buy lots of paints though, because the painting's all the fun in that. All right, well, if that's that, I'm going to sign off. I really enjoyed it, and thank you all.
Yes, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
It's been great to have people to work with all over the place, and I look forward to doing it again. I'm going to miss teaching over the next 6 weeks or so.
We'll be ready in 6 weeks for whatever you got.
Okay, and I'll send you blanks. You keep practicing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
All right. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'll have this posted by tomorrow night.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.